phosphate path, your pentose phosphate pathway is another way of breaking down your glucose. Pero this time, you are not making energy. You're making other substances from your glucose molecule. So, your pentose phosphate pathway, so as the name implies, gumagawa ka ng pentose. So, pentose, yung mga 5-carbon sugars natin, such as your ribose, no? So, the pentose phosphate pathway, also known as the hexose monophosphate shunt, is a pathway of degrading glucose that neither produces nor consumes ATP. So, di ba yung glycolysis natin produces ATP, yung gluconeogenesis natin consumes ATP. So, itong si pentose phosphate pathway, walang ATP involved in this pathway. Okay? So, the functions of your pentose phosphate pathway are as follows. It is used in the synthesis of your ribose 5-phosphate. So, di ba yung ribose, yun yung sugar molecule found in your nucleotides. Kaya kailangan natin ng pentose phosphate pathway in order to make your nucleic acids. Your pentose phosphate pathway is also responsible for the synthesis of NADPH. So, NADPH is a key coenzyme in the lipid synthesis, as well as it is important in maintaining your glutathione in its reduced form. So, si glutathione kasi, para maging effective yung antioxidant activity niya, kailangan in reduced form siya. Hindi niya kaya, kasi kailangan reduce siya para pwede siyang ma-oxidize ng oxidizing agents rather than yung cells natin yung ma-damage. Okay? So, ito yung tatandaan nyo, ribose 5-phosphate and NADPH. So, the substrate of your pentose phosphate pathway is not glucose itself, but rather glucose 6-phosphate. So, saan natin na-encounter si glucose 6-phosphate? Ito yung product ng first step of your glycolysis pathway, di ba? Glucose is phosphorylated by hexokinase and ATP in order to produce your glucose 6-phosphate. So, yung glucose 6-phosphate can proceed with the glycolysis pathway. It can also continue into the pentose phosphate pathway. So, your pentose phosphate pathway occurs in the cytosol of red blood cells as well as your lipid producing cells. Kasi nga, NADPH is needed in lipid metabolism. So, yung nakakailangan ng NADPH is your lipid producing cells. Kaya meron dong pentose phosphate pathway. Okay? As well as your red blood cells kasi, and they need to maintain the integrity of the cell membrane. So, gumagawa rin siya ng lipids. Okay? Next. The pentose phosphate pathway has a rate-limiting enzyme. This one is the ever so famous G6PD. So, G6PD is actually an enzyme found in the pentose phosphate pathway, si glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. So, pag sinabing G6PD, you're referring to the enzyme. Pag sinabing G6PD deficiency, yun yung sakit. Okay? So, what is the pentose phosphate pathway? Ito lang yan. So, hindi naman natin memorizein masyado to. Tandaan nyo lang that the substrate is glucose 6-phosphate from the first step of glycolysis. Your glucose 6-phosphate can proceed to the rest of glycolysis or it can enter the pentose phosphate pathway. So, itong red and blue, ito yung pentose phosphate pathway. Your pentose phosphate pathway is divided into two phases. The first phase is the oxidative or irreversible phase. The next step is the non-oxidative or reversible phase. So, sa first step, nandoon matatagpuan si glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. Okay, si glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, the rate-limiting enzyme. So, hindi na natin memorize itong mga to. Tandaan nyo lang, in the phase 1, you will produce 2 molecules of NADPH. So, magpaproduce tayo ng NADPH in the phase 1 as well as your ribulose 5-phosphate. So, what to remember in phase 1? Phase 1 is oxidative kasi nandito si glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, andito ginagawa si NADPH, andito ginagawa si ribulose 5-phosphate. Sa phase 2 naman, it's the non-oxidative kasi wala dito yung dehydrogenase. What happens in phase 2 is the reversible interconversion of sugars. So, si ribulose 5-phosphate can become ribose 5-phosphate, and then from there, pwede siya ma-convert into different different monosaccharides, no? Pwede siya maging cellulose, pwede siya maging pseudoheptulose, pwede siya maging fructose, pwede siya maging glyceraldehyde or erythrose. So, ito, pwede siyang pumunta here, tapos pumunta here, tapos ito, pwede rin siya pumunta here. So, para siyang, pwedeng mag-interconvert depending on what the cell needs. So, if you want to remember enzymes here, you just remember trans-ketolase and trans-aldolase. So, trans-ketolase and trans-aldolase sa phase 2, G6PD sa phase 1. So, yun lang ang tatandaan natin dito sa pentose phosphate pathway. So, now let's go to the clinical correlation nung pag wala ka nung rate-limiting enzyme, no? So, if you don't have glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase or have a reduced amount of glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, you have what we call the glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. So, ito dun sa mga diseases that you are screened for during newborn screening. Bakit? So, individuals with glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency are prone to have hemolytic anemia, especially during times of stress or infection. Bakit? So, sabi natin, your pentose phosphate pathway produces your NADPH that keeps glutathione in its reduced form. Kasi yung reduced glutathione is a potent antioxidant that detoxifies your free radicals and your peroxides. So, kailangan reduced form si glutathione para maging active siya para yung mga oxidizing, para pag na-oxidize si glutathione, magiging GSSG. So, pag na-oxidize to, ito yung ma-oxidize rather than oxidizing our cells and causing damage to them. So, parang si glutathione yung nagiging alay. Okay? So, ang nangyayari sa taong may glucose 6-phosphate deficiency, wala sila nung glutathione, wala silang maiaalay na maida-damage dun sa mga free radicals. So, ang nangyayari is instead of oxidizing your glutathione, ang na-oxidize is yung mga cells natin. Sila yung nadadamage. So, lack of NADPH, especially in your red blood cells, will lead to poor defense against your oxidizing agents and free radicals, diba? So, ano ba nangyayari sa glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency? So, yung glutathione mo kasi, in its reduced form, in order to make that, you require the enzyme glutathione reductase as well as NADPH. So, pag wala kang NADPH, dahil wala kang glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, hindi ka makakapaggawa ng reduced form of your glutathione. So, kailangan natin ng pentose phosphate pathway in order to keep our RBCs healthy. Pag kulang ka ng reduced glutathione, what happens is your red blood cells become damaged. They become denatured, no? Yung mga globin chains natin sa mga red blood cells natin. Pag na-denature yung globin chains doon sa hemoglobin ng red blood cells natin, you form what you call your Heinz bodies. So, ito yung mga bilog-bilog na yan, that is denatured globin chains in your red blood cells. So, dahil itong RBCs mo, pag dumaan sila sa spleen, makikita sila ng spleen. Sabi natin, the spleen is the graveyard of your RBCs. Sila yung nagse-sequester ng mga aging at ng mga damage na red blood cells. Pag nakita nila si Heinz bodies, nakita nila, hindi to normal na cell, kakaiba siya. So, ang tendency of your spleen is to try to remove the Heinz body. So, pag tinanggal nila yung Heinz body, kakagatin nila yung RBC. Therefore, you will now have your bite cell. Kaya naging bite cell yung tawag dyan. So, in the smear of people with glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, you will be able to appreciate Heinz bodies as well as your bite cells. Especially if they are having their acute attack, yung hemolytic episode nila, no? So, what are the precipitating factors? Kasi itong mga glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficient individuals naman, hindi man sila forever may hemolytic anemia. For example, nagkaroon sila na infection, tsaka sila magkaka-hemolytic anemia. Pag nawala na yung infection, mababawasan na syempre yung mga oxidizing agents and free radicals sa katawan nila. Therefore, they're less prone to hemolytic anemia. May mga attacks lang sila. So, they have to avoid yung certain drugs such as yung mga sulfonamides, yung mga anti-malarial drugs natin kasi those are prone to to oxidize your cells, no? And then, if you eat fava beans, yung nasa dingdong, if you eat a lot of fava beans, your fava beans is also considered an oxidizing agent, no? So, so if you have G6PD deficiency, the rule is, huwag kang kumain ng dingdong, okay? So, next, doon na tayo sa glycogen metabolism, no? So, glycogen metabolism, we want to make glycogen, the pathway is glycogenesis. Kasi nga, Genesis is creation, di ba? Genesis, the first book of the Bible where man is created. So, next. So, recall lang natin, characteristics of your glycogen. It's the storage homopolysaccharide in animals and humans composed solely of glucose units. And the bonds between your glucose is alpha-1,4 pag straight chain, alpha-1,6 pag branching, di ba? Ito yung, kunyari, ito yung straight chain. Yung mga bonds in between is alpha-1,4. Doon sa branch point, alpha-1,6. Tapos yung chain na to, yung bonds niya ulit ay alpha-1,4. Di ba? Ganun yung structure ng glycogen natin. So, how do you add more glucose to your glycogen chains? You undergo glycogenesis. Okay? So, if you want to store your glucose, kunyari, kumain ka ng samgyupsal, sobrang dami mo ng glucose, lampas-lampas na sa kailangan ng katawan mo. So, your body will store some of them into glycogen. So, ang gagawin niya is magdadagdag siya ng glucose units sa dulo ng mga glycogen chains mo. So, paano nag-a-add ng glucose dun sa mga dulo ng mga glycogen chains? The first step is by forming glucose 1-phosphate. So, this is simply an isomerization reaction from the glucose 6-phosphate. Diba si glucose 6-phosphate, ito yung product ng first step of glycolysis, wherein glucose is converted to glucose 6-phosphate by hexokinase. So, yung glucose 6-phosphate mo, aside from going into glycolysis, aside from going into the pentose phosphate pathway, pwede rin siya magpunta into glycogenesis. So, if your glucose 6-phosphate chooses to go into glycogenesis, it will be isomerized into glucose 1-phosphate. Yung phosphate doon sa 6-carbon will go to the first carbon. Kaya magiging glucose 1-phosphate. And the enzyme responsible for that is your phosphoglucomutase. Okay? Kasi mutase, kasi this is an isomerization reaction. So, next. So, the step 2 of your reaction is the formation of what we call UDP glucose. So, erase ito, hindi ko lang siya nabura. So, in this reaction, you are forming what we call UDP glucose. No? So, it's uridine diphosphate glucose. So, how do you do that? You get a uridine triphosphate and a glucose phosphate. So, di ba si adenosine triphosphate, that's involving an adenine yung nitrogenous base niya, di ba? Dito sa uridine, syempre, ang nitrogenous base niya is uracil. So, uridine triphosphate, it's a uracil plus a sugar plus your phosphate, no? So, here the enzyme, UDP glucose pyrophosphorylase. Pag pyrophosphate, ang pinag-uusapan, ibig sabihin, dalawang phosphate yon. So, UDP glucose pyrophosphorylase, you will remove a pyrophosphate from your UTP, tapos si glucose ay idudugtong mo doon sa phosphate nung natitirang molecule. So, then you will now have your UDP glucose. You have uridine diphosphate glucose. So, itong si UDP glucose siya na yung carrier molecule para mag-attach ng glucose to your glycogen chain. So, for example, you have a glycogen chain here, tapos magdadagdag ka ng glucose, di ba? So, itong si UDP glucose, siya yung pupunta dyan sa end na yan, tapos ikakabit niya itong glucose molecule. So, pag naikabit niya na, aalis na yung UDP. So, yun yung nangyayari sa step 3, wherein you are linking your glucose to the glycogen chain. So, you have a glycogen chain already. Yung glucose ni UDP glucose, ididikit niya dito. So, ito magiging glycogen and plus 1. Tapos, yung UDP mo magiging free na siya. And the enzyme responsible for that is your glycogen synthase. And in attaching, remember, sabi natin, the straight chains of your glycogen forms alpha 1,4 bonds. Okay? So, ito yung elongation ng glycogen chain. Okay? Next, your UDP is, pag free na yung UDP mo, it can be used to regenerate your UTP para pwede siya ulit mag-participate in making UDP glucose. So, how do you regenerate UTP? You just phosphorylate UDP using the phosphate of an ATP. So, yung isang ATP, ipapasa ka UDP para maging UTP siya ulit. Tapos, yung UTP, pwede na siya mag-react with another glucose 1-phosphate para maging UDP glucose ulit. So, para humaba ng humaba yung chain mo, okay? You regenerate the UTP and facilitate the linking over and over again, okay? So, dito, sa process ng ating gluconeogenesis, kailangan ng glycogenesis rather, kailangan ng dalawang ATP molecules, diba? Sabi natin, to make the glucose 6-phosphate using hexokinase as well as in regenerating your UTP. Okay? Next. So, paano naman, napahaba na natin yung glycogen chain, paano naman mag-add ng branching? So, to add branching, you use the branching enzyme. So, the branching enzyme comes into play when there are at least 11 residues present. So, pag mahaba-haba na yung chain, papasok na si branching enzyme, and then it will take 6 to 8 residue chain. So, for example, this one. So, ito yung mahabang length mo, di ba? Kukuha siya ng 6 to 8 residues, tapos ikakabit niya dito sa part na to. Okay? So, para maging magkahiwalay na branches na siya. So, ganun yung nangyayari, and the bond is an alpha 1,6 bond. Okay? Next. So, yun yung nangyari when you are elongating your glycogen chains. No? What happens naman if you undergo glycogenolysis, no? When you are lysing your glycogen. So, when you are undergoing glycogenolysis, meron kang chains of glycogen, di ba? So, made up of glucose molecules. So, what happens in glycogenolysis is, isa-isa mong tinatanggal yung mga glucose molecule from the ends of your glycogen chain. So, for example, this one, di ba? Ito yung itsura ng glycogen natin. In glycogenolysis, tatanggalin mo yung isa, and then tatanggalin mo yung kasunod, tapos tatanggalin mo yung kasunod pa. So, sunod-sunod yan. So, from here, for example, mahaba to, tatanggalin mo yung isang glucose to make glucose 1-phosphate, tatanggalin mo yung glucose to make glucose 1-phosphate. So, isa-isang pagtanggal ng glucose molecule from the ends. Hindi ka dito sa gitna kukuha. From the ends of your chains ka kukuha. Okay? So, what happens during glycogenolysis? So, in glycogenolysis, the first step is the formation of glucose 1-phosphate. Yung nagcha-chop-chop ka ng isa-isang glucose from the glycogen chain. And the reaction is called phosphorylysis. Kasi you are using a phosphate in order to lyse your molecule. And the enzyme responsible is glycogen phosphorylase. So, here, you have a glycogen chain. So, yung phosphate mo, papasok siya doon. It will bond at the first carbon of your glucose. Kaya siya naging glucose 1-phosphate. Kaso, tandaan nyo, di ba, ang bonds ng glycogen natin is alpha 1,4. So, pag nag-bond na si phosphate doon sa 1, syempre, magbibreak na yung alpha 1,4. So, magiging free glucose molecule na siya, and then your glycogen will be shorter by 1 glucose unit. So, ganun yung nangyayari when you're freeing up 1 molecule of glucose. Okay? Next. So, ganun yung nangyayari pag straight chain. Paano naman pag nasa branch point ka na? Pag nagkaroon na ng branch point, what happens is, the debranching enzyme comes into play. So, anong action ni debranching enzyme? Meron siyang dalawang parts actually. Yung glucan transferase part ni debranching enzyme will remove the last 3 residues in a branch point and attach it to the other branch. So, kukunin niya yung last 3 residues, tapos i-attach niya sa other branch para maging isang mahabang branch na lang to, and then ang natitira na lang is yung glucose at the branch point itself. So, ganito na lang yung matitira dyan. And then, the glucosidase activity of your debranching enzyme will now remove this glucose. So, magtatanggal na yung glucose na to, and then you will have an unbranched alpha 1,4 polymer with or rather as far as the whole glycogen molecule is concerned, a glycogen chain with fewer branching. Okay? Next. So, pagkatapos nun, di ba, pag nag-liberate ka ng glucose from your glycogen, the product is glucose 1-phosphate. So, when you are converting glucose 1-phosphate back to glucose 6-phosphate, you use the same enzyme, phosphoglucomutase. So, dahil isomerization lang yung kanina sa glycogenesis, yung phosphate nilagay sa 1, dito naman sa glycogenolysis, yung phosphate ibabalik sa 6. Okay? So, yun yung last step of your glycogenolysis. So, here are the differences between glycogenesis and glycogenolysis. So, hindi ko pa lang na-edit to, pero glycogenolysis yan. Inaantok kasi ako nung ginawa ko yan eh. Okay, so, dito, your glucose 6-phosphate is converted to glucose 1-phosphate during glycogenesis, and it's converted to UDP glucose, which will attach its glucose to the glycogen chain in order to make a longer glycogen chain. Magbabawasan mo naman ng glucose, yung glycogen, you will use the enzyme glycogen phosphorylase. Tapos yung nabawas na glucose is already glucose 1-phosphate. Pwede mo siya ibalik into glucose 6-phosphate using the same enzyme phosphoglucomutase. Okay? So, summary of the differences between your glycogenesis and glycogenolysis. Your glycogenesis is the addition. Your glycogenolysis is the subtraction or removal of a glucose from glycogen. Your glycogenesis and glycogenolysis occur in the same organs and part of the cell. It occurs in the cytosol of your liver and muscle. So, ito, baligtad din to, hindi ko na-edit. So, your glycogenesis, the substrate is glucose, the product is glycogen. In glycogenolysis, the substrate is glycogen and the product is glucose. So, step 1 and step 2, step 1 of glycogenesis shares the same enzyme with the step 2 of glycogenolysis. Kasi, sila yung parehas na phosphoglucomutase, catalyzing an isomerization reaction. So, sa step 2 naman ng glycogenesis, you make your UDP glucose using UDP glucose pyrophosphorylase, no? So, and then, once you have your UDP glucose, the glucose on the UDP glucose will be attached to the glycogen chain by your glycogen synthase, which is the rate-limiting enzyme of the glycogenesis pathway. Next, in glycogenolysis naman, it's a one-step process of removing your glucose from your glycogen chain. You use the enzyme glycogen phosphorylase in order to remove the glucose 1-phosphate. So, the glucose 1-phosphate na yon is converted into glucose 6-phosphate by phosphoglucomutase. Okay? So, clinical correlations lang before we end this lecture. We have what you call your glycogen storage diseases. So, itong glycogen storage diseases na to, ang high yield dito actually is this part. Itong si von Jerk's disease, tsaka yung mga pangalan nila, at yung mga enzymes na deficient, tsaka kung anong number. Okay? So, eto, natanong to sa board exam namin nun eh. So, itong glycogen storage diseases, may kanya-kanya silang manifestation. Depende, syempre, kung ano yung enzyme defect. For example, the most, laging naalala ng lahat kasi siya yung una, si von Jerk's disease is a deficiency in glucose 6-phosphatase. So, saan nga ba natin na-encounter si glucose 6-phosphatase? Na-encounter natin siya during gluconeogenesis. Diba? Sa gluconeogenesis, yung glucose 6-phosphatase is the one that converts glucose 6-phosphate back to glucose. So, pag wala kang glucose 6-phosphatase, your glucose 6-phosphate will remain as glucose 6-phosphate. Hindi siya makakabalik into glucose. Hindi siya, yung glucose, siya yung nakakapunta ng bloodstream. Yung glucose 6-phosphate will remain in the organ where it is made. So, anong nangyayari sa mga taong may von Jerk's disease? They have severe fasting hypoglycemia kasi hindi sila nakakapag-produce ng new glucose. Gets? So, yun na lang yung tandaan nyo. Wag nyo tandaan yung mga gout-gout na yan. Hindi na, yun na lang. Baka matoxic kayo masyado. Marami pa tayong aaralin. Okay? Next. The other one is Pompe's disease. Deficiency in the enzyme lysosomal acid maltase. So, this is important in glycogen metabolism in your lysosomes, no? So, tandaan nyo lang sa Pompe's disease. Pompe's disease is responsible for pump failure. Kasi magkakaroon ng heart failure yung mga batang may Pompe's disease. So, they die by the age of 2. Okay? Next, 3 and 4, medyo confusing kasi branching, debranching. Paano mo tatandaan sino si branching, sino si debranching? It's A, B, C, D. Andersen, branching, Cori, debranching. So, pero tandaan nyo, si Andersen yung 4, si Cori yung 3. So, what happens when you lack your debranching enzyme? So, 'di ba? Pag meron kang glycogen molecule. So, yung glycogen natin. So pag nag-glycogenolysis ka, di ba? Pag nakarating ka na sa branch point, pag wala kang debranching enzyme, hanggang dyan ka na lang. Hindi mo na makukuha yung mga nakasunod na nandito. So, kailangan mo ng debranching enzyme if you want to completely use your glycogen, no? So, if you lack your debranching enzyme, kukulangin ka ng glucose. Kasi hindi mo ma-utilize yung ibang glucose na nakastore sa glycogen mo. That's why you get fasting hypoglycemia. Okay? Next. Kapag wala ka namang branching enzyme in your Andersen's disease, what happens to your glycogen molecule? So, di ba, ang branching enzyme is responsible for making more branches. So, kapag wala kang branching enzyme, pahaba lang ng pahaba yung mga glycogen chain mo, kahit na lumampas na siya ng 11, kahit gaano pa siya kahaba, dahil wala kang branching enzyme, hindi na siya magkakaroon ng branching. So, kapag wala kang branching enzyme, what happens is you will have polysaccharides with fewer branch points, at dahil mahaba yung chains mo, eventually it will lead to hepatosplenomegaly. Okay? Next. Doon tayo sa 5 and 6. Madali lang naman tandahan kasi pareha silang phosphorylase. Saan nga ba si phosphorylase? Dito sa glycogenolysis. Di ba? Sa glycogenolysis, when you are removing a glucose molecule from the glycogen, ang ginagamit mo is your phosphorylase. So, meron tayong phosphorylase in the liver, meron tayong phosphorylase in the muscle. So, muscle phosphorylase is McArdle. So, madaling tandaan kasi parehas lang silang M. And then, liver phosphorylase in the liver. So, liver phosphorylase is Hertz disease. Okay? So, of course, yung manifestation is depende kung saan siya deficient. Pag wala kang muscle phosphorylase, you are more prone to have poor exercise tolerance and muscle cramps kasi hindi ka makapag-glycogenolysis, kulang ka ng energy. Okay? Next. Sa Hertz disease naman, since liver yung concern, syempre, the manifestation is hepatomegaly. Okay? So, that's the last slide for this lecture. I hope you learned something kahit sa dami nun. So, if you have questions, feel free to ask. So, next,